a show to help you grow and develop your brand in a more authentic and sustainable way locally and globally, whether it is your personal brand or your company brand or product or service level brand. Learn from thought leaders from different parts of the world, from CEOs, business owners, managers, professors, experts who are in the spotlight to tell their brand stories and share their valuable first-hand insights. My name is Brigitte Bojkowszky and I'm the founder and owner of Brigitte Brands, a branding strategy boutique offering online courses, workshops, and one-on-one exclusive coaching. And I help my clients craft meaningful strategies that they can unleash their full potential to effectively elevate their personal and organizational brands and shine. So let's get started and dive with me into the world of brands. Today, I have a very interesting and versatile personality as my guest. He is a professor and since 2001 has been the head of the Institute of Transportation and Logistics at the Vienna University of Economics and Business, and since 2019 endowed chair professor at the Jilin University in Changchun, China. He carried out numerous research and practice projects, and his publication list includes more than 200 publications, including textbooks. He is also a passionate sailor who used to sail Optimist and Laser class, participating world championships. He became famous in March 2020 when the COVID pandemic steamrolled across Europe. His crew left in Mallorca and he found himself barred from one port after another and utterly alone at sea. Chased out of Greece by submarine gun-toting coast guardsmen, he became a reluctant and unwitting pirate forced into a weeks-long game of cat and mouse with Turkish authorities in a self-described no man's land of remote bays and coves along the country's wild coast. I warmly welcome this man, Sebastian Kummer. Welcome to BrandsTalk.
Yeah, thank you very much for the invitation and for the beautiful introduction.
Yeah, you deserve it. I'm so glad I could catch you, Sebastian, because you're always very busy with all the different hats that you're carrying and roles that you're playing. So I would say let's jump right into our discussion. And yeah, could you tell us a little bit about your background, your journey that made you become the head of the Institute of Transportation and Logistics at the university in Vienna? Yeah, what's your story?
Yeah, life is full of decisions that one has to make and roads that one has to take. And actually, I studied philosophy and business, a very unusual combination, because I wanted to become a journalist. But my father was very intelligent. He said, before you want to become a journalist, you have to work as a journalist. So he sent me to two different newspapers, and I worked also for a magazine, for a very cool town city magazine. And then I noticed maybe this is not the way that it is. It always looks bright if you are in television, but yeah, there's the real. This only 0.1% of the journalists are reaching that. And so I decided, okay, now I will study, and decided to go for business. And then after I finished my business study, I studied in Tübingen and in Cologne in Germany. I had to make another decision, and my two alternatives were go into consulting or go at universities. And I always tell the students, you have to decide, or you want to make millions, of course we talk millions of dollars a year, or you want more freedom, or you want to do what you want. And so I said, I was also very young at that time. For Europeans, for Americans, maybe not. I was 23. And so I said, no, better to go to university. And then I started to work and develop my passion for research, for teaching, and also for my topic, that is transport and logistics. And at that time, in the 19s, it was something that used to be very uncool. The people would say, Mamma mia, logistics, this is something of warehouses, what are you doing? Transport. Yes, we drive a car, but it was one of the best decisions. And so, and then I had to take another decision that was very good. I opted for a private university, which is also very uncommon for Europe, for America. It's nothing special. But for us, this university was founded 1 year ago before I joined them. And it became, within 10 years, the leading German business school, Otto Beisheim School of Management in Fallenda, and I had the luck to take part in this journey. And this is something I think that is very special. I'm always very curious because there was also an alternative. I could go to the old school of Cologne, University of Cologne, where I studied, and come to a very famous chair. Gutenberg is one of the famous German professors a long time ago. But I said, no, I want something new, and that is something that is. And then also that's something I try to combine always life with work, and so. So I make my PhD, and in Germany we make a second PhD called Habilitation, and then I had to make another decision where to take my first chair. I had some choices, and I choose also something new, that was Dresden in the east of Germany, because I said it's a wonderful city. By the way, it was new. It is a university for transport. Yeah, and then after 4 years in Dresden, I met my successor here in Vienna at the university, and he said, Sebastian, I'm now in pension. Do you want to take part into the competition of my chair? And I said, I bought a house. Never buy a house if you want to be flexible. That is no, in America it's not a problem, but in Europe very often the people are very attached to the house. So you have this wonderful house and you say, I don't want to move. But I had another incentive to go to Vienna, because my wife is Italian. She comes from Rome, and so Vienna is much nearer to Rome. And so I said, maybe it's a good idea. And so in 2001 I joined to Vienna, and never regretted. Obviously, as you know, Brigitte, Vienna is a wonderful city, and that is also very interesting. When I joined the WU, the private Otto Beisheim School of Management in Fallenda near Koblenz, this school was not so famous, and the WU Vienna, it was always a very famous university, but also we improved here very much. And I'm very proud that our master in supply chain management is worldwide ranked number 2 in the ranking. So we always try to improve and also work internationally. And that is something Vienna always used to be international from the position between the East and the West, but we make huge improvement in the last 20 years. Obviously, my contribution was very little, but yeah, in my field, the contribution was not so bad.
I'm sure it was not just little. And I mean, actually, the topic of transportation and logistic has become much more attractive nowadays. I mean, first of all, with COVID, and with the bottlenecks and how to get everything shipped, and finding alternatives. And also when it comes to protecting the environment, we have to think about also of our carbon footprint that we leave, and what are alternatives to flying, or if we fly, what kind of alternatives of how to bring an airplane into the sky, other than using oil. So it is something that is right now all over the place, and I'm happy you are ranked number 2. I think that is really fantastic.
MIT is first, so it's hard to beat, but we will try.
Right.
You always have to try, Brigitte, Never give up.
Never ever. So you're not only a professor, but you're also a consultant, and not just like you're not competing with like other consultant companies because you have a different focus, right? So you are much more working on scientific projects, and you're working with governments and also informing public institutions. So how does that work? So how would such a project look like? Can you give us an example of when you are consulting, in the, let's say, in the public sector and politicians?
Yeah, first of all, there are some professors who are founding consulting companies to make money, and this is not our approach. Actually, what we do is, like you said, we are very much interested as our field, transport and logistics, is very much on, has very much impact on, as you said, environment, digitalization, on the society also. And so there are different projects. Maybe I talk about one that we finished last year, and that was at the city of Graz. It's the second largest city in Austria, in the south of Vienna, something like 400,000 inhabitants. Yeah, and the area of Graz is very powerful. It's an industrial area. There's some automotive industry there. They ask, they want to make a new mobility system, because we know that the cities are one of the focuses. And so what we did is, and that was very interesting, we make a joint team of 5 professors. So there were engineers, there was somebody who does urban development, there was somebody who is doing the Bauingenieur, like construction engineer, who knows how to build railway lines and tunnels and these kind of stuff. And so what we did is we analyzed the transport of Vienna. We had somebody who had a model, like where are all the mobility movements are going, and then we proposed a new, let's say, system. Actually, what we proposed is a mini metro, an automatic metro, but not the big one like in New York or in Vienna also, but smaller ones, more like if you have been to Copenhagen, they have this wonderful little automatic driving metro. And my role, or my position in this was to do the evaluation from the costs and from the impact from society. So that's one of our strengths. You can imagine it's very difficult if you introduce a new system. It changes a lot. What is the impact on the people? What is the impact on the businesses? The small business, do they profit, or do they, and how, if so? So we did this calculation, and I think the project was quite a good success. Unfortunately, in the votes, the government changes, and you know, it's always in politics. Very often the new ones, they say, now we have to do something else. So I'm not sure if it will be go into or will be realized. But this is a very good example. Or now, obviously, we are on the road to zero emission in Austria and all over the world, as everybody knows, because of climate change. And so we made a project, not in this time for the government, but for industry association, how to decarbonize the road. And so we make suggestions what to do until 2040 and 2030, and try to help that we will increase in the first step the productivity efficiency, and then in the next step move to environmental friendly drives like hydrogen or battery driven engines. This was on the cargo side. The first project was more on passenger transportation. Mm-hmm. So these were ones, and in former times, for example, we try to optimize complex networks. For example, we had if it's not so easy to optimize. If you, even Austria has 8 million inhabitants, 4 million addresses, and if you would like to make an optimization there, in science, very often I always make jokes that my colleagues, they always have 5 trucks and 5 depots and 10 customers, and then they optimize. And so somebody comes and says, we have 4 million addresses in Austria, and about not 8 million customers, because obviously there's a little bit less, but I don't know, 5,000, 10,000 vehicles. Then we try to do that, and that is the advantage. We do that because then you have to go into a new optimization. So you cannot use classical operations research, but we have to look how could we use artificial intelligence tools, how could we, and this is big data. So there we are into the, so this is maybe a spectrum. So one thing is, we call that a social economic evaluation. That is a strength. Then optimization of networks, and so these are some projects, and of course obviously new very interesting projects coming. And what is also interesting, I think, last remark on that, I think I'm very, there are many people who have know-how, but if you are consulting politics, the danger is always that that the consultants write what the politics want, or they that. And from me, they know that they don't get what they want. I mean, maybe they get what they want, but they get a really kind of, because this is something from my point of view, for my brand. My brand is that you get what I think is the truth. Obviously, it's not the truth. There's no 100% truth, but I will never change if the graph is like this. I will never change it with 90 degree, because the customer says it looks much better if it's changed with 90 degree, and it's not the result. For example, the politicians in Austria, they always say, railway, we will have to shift from railway to road, and they say we will have 40% market share of railway. Now in Austria it's maybe 29 or near 30, and so we will not say that this will happen if we don't think that it's not happening. What we will say is this is not possible because of capacity, because of that, and if you want, then you have to do this and this and this, and so if the politicians feel that they need some independent knowledge, or if they think that I will go into the same direction, they will work with us. If not, but it's not a question. So we have time for do basic research.
Yeah, so this is interesting what you're saying, because that was actually my next question, because I was curious what kind of stance you are taking when you are requested by the media and requested to talk about all these different kinds of important topics for our future. And I was wondering, since you have sometimes a contradicting standpoint,
very much.
If that is also a reason maybe that you might not be invited, because it doesn't go along with what they want to communicate and sell the population, the audience.
Yeah. 15 years ago, I said that there's a famous tunnel project in Austria. It's called the Brenner Tunnel. It connects Germany, let's say, with Italy through Tyrol. Lovely. And they said at that time it will cost 4.5 billion euro, and I said this will never work. I was not so much against the tunnel, but it will be more than 10 cost more than 10 billion. And then there was some really fighting, because I don't like if the public is being informed in a wrong way, by intention or not intention. This you cannot say, because you cannot look into the mind of the people. But if some things are very obvious, at least from my point of view, and this is sometimes why they hate me, because what I know, because if you go to media, then what we also very strong is in communicating our results. Very often scientists think in a very complex way, and they try to use a lot of different complex sentences. And what we try to do is to make to give a simple example. For example, I said to the public, look, the tunnel between Paris and London is much more important, because obviously in London, and I don't know, 6 million people living, or 8 million in the greater area, Paris area also, and this tunnel connects and is not profitable. Why? Because it's cost so much money. And then we connect Innsbruck mainly with Bozen. It's some little villages. It's like a little metro. And so I said, this will not work. The numbers that they say from the passengers will never be reached, because they had some consultants who were saying always they are skyscraping. And then I said, from this cost from the tunnel has the same length. It was built 20 years before. Anyway, now it will be built 40 years before because they have 15 years of delay or something like that. And it cannot be that you will build under more difficult circumstances with inflation at 50% of the price. And it's everybody who thinks only 1 minute about this will understand that. And so the politicians, they are hating. I don't know why they put 4.5 billion. I don't know why they put that there will be 10 million passengers. Or I know, because then the relationship between the cost-benefit analysis is better, but it makes no sense. If I would like to build the tunnel for strategic reasons, I say, okay, this is a strategic project. The economic, it does not maybe make sense in a business sense, but yeah, and so I'm yeah, and then we proposed, for example, to make only not passenger transport, but only for cargo, because I think also the problem will be that there will be something like 200 kilometers of tunnel from the border, and even now the Germans are building, so even longer. And I don't think it's so nice if you are a passenger and you go 200 kilometers through a tunnel, because if you go to the lovely countryside of the Alps, maybe you would like to see, and you enjoy more, let's say 2 hours and 15 minutes instead of in the lovely countryside, instead of 2 hours or maybe 1 hour and 45 only going through a black tunnel. But this is so and this is very important, and then there also something is very good that we were talking about, that now more and more people know that transport is very important. But always the scientists, and also at the stock exchange, they know always that transport is a very good indicator for the development. And so as we are very near to the transport, to the companies, we know what will be. And so, for example, I saw directly after the COVID-19 crisis, when there was this huge increase of demand of transport, that there is a big challenge for the supply chains coming.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really glad you're bringing this other perspective in, so that we have kind of a more holistic view on important projects, whether we are doing it or not doing it, because there are other factors that also have to be taken into consideration. I'm really glad you're out there to bring in your stance. So now I would like to shift gears a little bit. And you like your freedom at the university, but you also like your freedom in your private time, in your leisure time. Some take an airplane and take off and find the freedom in the sky, and others go on the water, and that's what you do. So for many years, you have been a passionate sailor and participated in world championships. So where did this love come from?
Yeah, it comes from the parents, obviously, yeah, because from the parents, the people. My father was a passionate sailor, and I had the luck that when I was very young, I was competing in sailing regattas, and I was quite successful. And then the success, feeds the success. You get my self-confidence, and so I was when I was 18 quite good. I had a bit the challenge that I was too thin, so I had not enough weight, because if you sail in competition, sometimes you need a lot of weight to bring it outside as counterweight for the sails, for the forces of the sails, better to say. So if there was strong wind, I was not so good, but if there were lower winds, I was very good. But then so that was my passion, and I love very much the competition. Also, I love the competition here. I take I think it produces a lot of energy. It gives you a lot of joy, and it motivates you to find new solutions in the sailing. Always, you have to trim the sails. You have to look where you get faster. How you beat your competitor. But the challenge was when I was when I was at school, it was no problem. I was lucky that I did not have so much problems with the school. But then I had the challenge when I go to university. I had to go to university, started university. Then sailing was getting more and more professional. When I started, it was more like amateur status, you know. So what we did is we were before the season starts, we would sail 1 or 2 weeks maybe training at Lago di Garda, for example, or something like that in the south. But then it started that you should have sailed all the year, because there were more and more people, especially the laser class where I was sailing in is Olympic class, and it would become Olympic class. So it was really semi-professional. So I had to say, okay, studying and semi-professional sailing, maybe that's possible, but I had a lovely girlfriend at that time. And so I said to say, between these three things, and I said, the love. I was so romantic. I said, the love we cannot take into consideration. Then I said, okay, the study is forever and the sailing. And then I shifted my sailing. That's also something that is maybe I'm very good in. I always try, okay, if this is not possible, we have to find. So I shifted my interest from the competition more to fun and leisure sailing. I sailed also competitions later, even 2019 was my last competition, Tahiti Pearl Regatta. It was a very good fun regatta in Tahiti. I was lucky to sail that regatta, but it's more for fun. And so I continued sailing that, and I love the sea, but I need it to get my brain. You know, the wind is throwing to your brain and then pushes all the bad thinking away. If you are at the sea, you know that there's more things important than colleagues or something like that.
Yeah, we need something like that. You know, we need to kind of have an exchange of energy and getting something out of the system, and to be able to receive again something more positive, or something that builds you up, something that inspires you. And you are a master of challenges, and you love to compete, and obviously also in different fields. And you went on for a competition in a different way in summer 2020.
Yeah.
Oh, something very interesting happened when you transferred a catamaran from France to Turkey. You became a reluctant and unwitting pirate, forced into a quarantine, and you got stuck in the Mediterranean Sea. So you love the sea, so you get stuck, right? And that for several weeks, and you couldn't go ashore. And at that time, you've received lots of media attention. You know how to raise awareness out there, right? And you also wrote a book about it. The book is called Mit Kummer ohne Sorgen, and it directly translates into English with sorrow without worries. But it was then translated meaningfully into My Blu Quarantine. So tell us a little bit about this challenge, this atypical challenge. I think you did not even expect that something like this
No,
right?
First of all, for the background, I try to not only, because you know, professors normally are very good in theory, but very bad in practice. So they don't do. But I think I'm not so bad in that. So we talk always about work-life balance. And when I have twins, or we have twins with my wife, and when they get their matura, so they went to university, I said, okay, now I would like to make a bit something for my work-life balance, not work like an idiot, but to have, so I decided with the university to have the 50% job. So I said, okay, in winter semester I will teach, I will be head of the Institut all the time, we will be available via satellite. That was also advantage at the back. And so, as you said, originally I planned to do a part-time world circumnavigation. And so this was also why I sailed in Tahiti. So I sailed across the Atlantic 1 year, 2018, 2019. I sailed from the Caribbean to Tahiti. And then the idea was to sail further to Australia and then go on. But before I wanted to do that, because I said, okay, there's the typhoon season, so we can only start in, I don't know, April or something like that, May. So I said, okay, to a friend, I will transfer. Peter Yachting is a famous charter company and there was this catamaran, and I said, okay, I will transfer the catamaran from Turkey. You can see here, oops, this is Les Arbres de Delon in France. Very, very beautiful alongside Portugal, to the Strait of Gibraltar, very famous not only for sailors, and then through the Mediterranean here to Turkey. And we wanted to make that at friends and family. But as you said, there was we started at the 24th, I think, of or 20th of February. And so COVID was already in China, but yeah, I could tell a lot of things about that. But to make a long story short, the first crew change was in Malaga, and then already some of the people said, "Oh, we don't want to come," but others came. And then when we were before Mallorca, at the evening, a friend of mine, Italian, phoned me and said, "Sebastian, all Italy is closed, so you cannot come to Italy. You have to make decisions." And as you noticed, I'm quite good in decision making. Yeah. So I said to my crew, Italy will be closed, so we have to go to Greece. But who knows if Greece will not be closed when we are there? So there was already this thinking. I would never thought that I could not go into Turkey because I had a Turkish flag boat. And normally there's a rule that that's like, that's the boat of Turkey. Okay, I'm German, but the boat can go there. And anyway, and then we decided there were still flights available, no problem. So the crew left. And I always have the idea that there's always these, the luck is always passing by, and a lot of people look, and there's the luck, and I'm very good in grabbing the luck. And then there's something I love very much is from Mark Twain. It's in 20 years, you will not regret the things that you did, but you will regret the things that you don't did. And I don't know why, inside there's a lot of intuition. I think we should also follow our intuition sometimes. As a scientist, I use the intuition and then try to make the best out of it, to look at that question. But anyway, deep in my heart, I felt that if the alternative would leave the boat in Mallorca, fly back to Vienna, and then look what will happen. But in my heart, I felt if I would do that, not in 20 years, but in 2 weeks, I will regret. Because I said, and I always wanted to do, we call that solo sailing. I always wanted to do that. It's a bit of challenge. I knew how to sail in day at night. Some people cannot imagine. And I actually, to be honest, I had only one worry. The people who are sailing day and night, solo sailing, they put the clock, the alarm every 15 minutes. And this I did also. And then you wake up, you check, is everything fine? And then you fall. And I could never imagine that this could work. But it works if you want. Because if the will is so strong, yeah. So I said there, and then you already said that there were so many things. I could not enter one day before I wanted to enter to Turkey. They said no, it's not possible. And then I was 67 days alone, and I always said I have to treat it with humor and patience because humor is the best way to treat crises. I think because you cannot do anything. I knew that the rule was stupid, and it was very funny. Then. After 1 month, I said, I was patient. I said, I only want to enter to Turkey legally. So I will wait. They will find out that I'm not infective because I was already at that time 50 days at sea. Where should the coronavirus come from?
Exactly.
And then anyway, we don't have to tell all the stories. You have to read the book, My Blu Quarantine. Yeah, you have. Yeah, I'm not good.
It's in English language. It's available in 2 languages. So I love it. I mean, everyone should read it.
Anyway, but what I wanted to say, it was very funny. Then the life is funny, yeah? And at the end, we find a solution. I changed the boats only for 15 minutes, and then sailed straight back in 8 days, 8 nights from Turkey to Croatia, because the second trick I said should go there. But I wanted to say that they were coming the medical doctor and do the COVID check if I have COVID, and obviously he knew. They're not stupid. The people are not stupid, and he was apologizing. What they did is they give me flowers. They say, we apologize, life is, and I said, yes, no worries. I had sweets. So I had the flowers, the sweets for the journey back. And it was really spectacular. But and the media, as you said, I used actually what I did is before I was not using the brand Kummer as a sailor brand because I was sailing for fun. So yes, I had only the close friends in social media. But then there was so much attention. Everybody asked, how do you do? What is about the, do you have enough food? How you are so lonely? Then I said, yes, but other people pay that they go into a monastery to stay in a little room. And I'm here on this luxury catamaran and don't have to tell anybody. Anyway, at university, the people are coming, Sebastian, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I enjoy the silence. Look to the water. The fishermen were coming. I could not speak with them because they speak only Turkish, but we said like this, oh, did you sleep well? Yes, good. They
Okay.
asked me what fish. I said no. There were so many funny stories. We were very successful in fishing here at that route, and so I had a deep freezer in that boat, and so I had every second day I eat fish because every day you get a board of fish.
Yeah, sure. So exciting. So everyone has to read this book to really get more about it. Everything that you have experienced is in this book, and it's
Yeah.
lovely. It's with quotes. It goes really, really deep. And what I want from you, can you summarize your most important learnings from that experience and how it has changed your life? This detour, it was kind of a detour.
Yeah.
And how it shaped you.
Yeah. Anyway, it's for me. It's like the COVID-19 crisis is always enforcing things, and I think it enforced my ideas. I already said humor and patience you need, and then also I think it's very important the clear forward thinking. That's also what makes me strong in the academic sector. The academics, they don't like the clear forward thinking because they think, yeah, we always have to make some detours. And for example, the people were saying, are you not afraid of the Turkish? And I said, anyway, first of all, fear is a bad instructor, so you should not have fear. But also I said, I think it's not in the interest of the Turkish that something happens to me, because I have this media attention, and the media will find out, and they will say, okay, why did you shoot him? I was a bit afraid. There was a lot of refugees there, as you probably know. Maybe the Turkish-Greek border there's a lot of refugees coming there. So I was a bit afraid of these refugees, that they would be interested to take my boat to go to Greece, because they go very often with small boats, dangerous, and my boat would be perfect for 20, 30 refugees. No doubt about that. Very fast you would be. So also, but I take that into consideration. So I choose more islands where they could not come so easily. So that was something. And then I noticed that also in the crisis, education is very important. I think if you have a good education, you can always look at that and analyze the situation. And as I said, I always trust my intuition, and I learned that this is good. And then it's always you have to, So this were some of the experiences, and then also is so that what comes back. It was so good because we have a lot of Turkish students. It's very interesting. Vienna that has some reasons from the history also, and so a lot of former students, they were emailing me and saying, Sebastian, or Professor Kummer, they say Professor Kummer, we were so happy with your lectures. Can we give something back now? The uncle of my cousin knows the finance minister or the minister of defense. I don't know what. and at the first I always said no. I do. So I felt a lot of love, incredible, that was coming there from people that you gave somebody some, not love for the, I think also it's important to love the students or to be empathic with the students. Love is always a difficult expression, as you know. We have to be so careful, and sometimes you don't have to be careful. But what is really the empathy for the people, and then that comes 10 years later back for me is very, very incredible. That's the life. So I enjoyed it, and also, but then there were also some things. Obviously, I knew that I always thought that then if you're educated, you know, this virus, they will never kill everybody, because that would be stupid from a virus. So I said, one of the if this virus is so dangerous that it kills nearly everybody, I will be one of the ones that survives the least, and then the world will be, of course, completely different. But I said, so I don't have to be worried, and I had enough to eat, I had enough to drink, so yeah, I feel very happy. And then also I saw it as a challenge to make the best out of the situation.
Beautiful. So, one more question regarding your book. In your book, you start part 5, Every Storm Passes, with a quote by Sir William Ward: "The pessimist complains about the wind, the optimist expects it to change, and the realist adjusts the sails." Who are you?
Yeah, generally I'm very optimistic, as you noticed. But when I'm sailing, I'm very realistic, because I know that the sea is dangerous. So yeah, I would say and I try to be. I think the I mean, you know that every quote, there's a lot of truth in
Oh,
it. So
yes.
one should not be over optimistic, but I think the optimism that gives you the motivation. But as I said, you have to check then and not to be too optimistic. So I think I'm an optimistic realist.
Yeah, me too. Absolutely. I think that's a more fun way of how to take the life journey, right? So, with all who you are, Sebastian, the different roles that you play, you really, really own them. And as a professor at the university, um, you need to go in alignment, with the university code of conduct, with the culture, with the value system. You comply with them, and you're an authority to your students, to your colleagues, and to your research fellows, and also a superior to your team. Then, as a role as a consultant, you set up your own set of values you live by, and as a sailor, you also comply with the code of conduct, right? And as a public person, you also have a certain perception in the market that gets you lots of media attention. So you are an expert, you are a thought leader, you are an authority, and thereby you also are a strong personal brand in all these different facets. So how do you define yourself across these different contexts you are in? You're a personal brand, but you have to comply to all the different other, institutional way of doing things, and you need to somehow fit into that. So how does that get together?
Yeah,
How do you want to perceive
yeah,
professor, business owner, and as an authority? And who is the Sebastian?
yeah. When I have some business conference, the people always ask me, Sebastian, I'm not sailing, and I said because they have the perception that I always sail. So this is a bit difficult. But of course, first of all, I'm scientist and a university teacher. This is my passion, and maybe the sailing will come with more strong when I go in pension. But I think the sailing is perfect because in this I'm too let's say wild, too authentic, too provocative normally for university. Maybe not for the students, because for the students they like that. They like that they like the challenge in the classroom. At least I think, or many students, not everybody, obviously. But I think on the other hand, as a scientist, as a teacher, and also as a sailor, I'm very authentic, and I'm kind of addicted to the right solution, to find the right solution, the best way, the truth. I'm very curious for innovation in sailing. Actually, I'm now helping a company. We're helping a lot of companies, startups, and we help a startup that is producing a leisure sailboat without a combustive engine, so pure electric. We help another. There's a cargo sailing ships. It's a very interesting sector. It's very small niche. So I do that. I like very much new ideas, because these new ideas, obviously not every idea will be successful, but without these new ideas we will not come. Actually, I helped when Tesla was first coming up. I said it's a wonderful idea. Obviously, I knew it from the science, and I helped to put the first cars into Austria. But I make a mistake. Sometimes I'm not so pragmatic. I did not buy shares, although I was very convinced. That was it. But I supported some startups which were quite successful also. So that would be maybe a short or long description what I think I am.
Okay, good. So with who you are, with what you do, and your learnings, and being a personal brand yourself, do you have any helpful advice of how we can strengthen our personal brand to be our best?
Yeah, the media. I mean, I think media is very difficult, but obviously, for me it's much easier to treat with media, because I come to the media as an independent professor, and I have no fears that there will be shitstorms, for example, or also for business disadvantages. As I say, I did not say for the tunnel. For 10 years I did from the Austrian Railways no contracts. Although I think they could have some of the knowledge, but it's sometimes this way. So in media, it's very important to be authentic, I think, and it's very important to have a short, clear message. I think that's the most. I mean, it's like to go to media is like a marketing campaign. But the challenge is obviously the journalists. They don't like if you make a marketing. So what you have even more to be to look at the content, that there's that you produce a valuable content, but that has to be very short, because very often, for example, if I'm in television in the news, they only send 7 seconds. So what you have to do is you have to give them in a short, compressed way most of the thoughts. And from my point of view, the most important thing is to don't be afraid. I mean, it's always important. Don't be too afraid. If you, I don't know, if you meet a new people, don't be afraid of the people. But in media also, some people are afraid if they see a camera. And maybe now it's getting better with all these online meetings, so the people are used to look. But in television, okay, you know that then if you look, that I don't know, some million of people are seeing what you are and how you look, and that's also very funny that they always say, and also for me, it's like if the hair, I have now very wild hair, so I have to be a bit careful. In former times, I used to go sometimes to the hair cutter before I go to television, because the picture is in television very important. And what is also very important is that you have to be very quick. That is also advantage of me. So the journalist know if something happens. I don't know if, for example, Suez Canal. I could very quickly say what are the impacts. Or at the first day of the Ukraine war, I could very good say what with all the pity, not about the war. Yeah, that although I said to the students also, I think that they will never. The Russians will be very difficult to conquer Kiev, because the war in the city is so damaging. And I knew from the Second World War that is a lot of ideas. And you know, Brigitte, because you have been to Kiev also, it's a bit hilly
We
also,
went
so
together.
lot of challenges there. So, and that's important for media, that if you that you can analyze a situation very quick, can give them some interesting evaluation or some interesting ideas, and that they can broadcast or write in the media. So and I think it's also important not to think so much about the brand. Maybe it's if you appear there, then it's important. And to be honest, obviously, if the people see me in television and at the next day they have a business meeting and they are thinking, who could we invite for a presentation, the probability that they invite me is much higher than that I would not have been there. It's obviously so it's that, you know better than for brands. I'm not a brand expert, but it's a kind of, you have to have different communications there, and also not to look at every single thing. It's more like because the journalists are very much interconnected, so they know, they ask who knows, and they know. And also, if I cannot, for example, if I'm abroad, actually, this is a very funny story. I think it's also in the book, but I'm not sure. The first media attention there was a journalist from Eco is the name of the journal, Austrian television. It's a business magazine, and so he's called Hans Wu, and he called me and said that was when the Austrian government was announcing the first measures, and he called me and said, Sebastian, we would like to make an interview for the first measures. And I said immediately, I was taking the call and said immediately, I'm sorry, I'm in that time I was in Italy. I'm here sailing, and then he said, but that's wonderful. So we could make a combination of your sailing, let's say that you cannot go to any port, and what is the life here. And so it started. And then they said to me, that's also important, make some good videos. And this was the beginning of the videos. Before I did do so much. There's also a lot for me. Unfortunately, I'm not a good planner, so I'm more grabbing the opportunities. But everybody has to do. Maybe some people know that they make a kind of media plan. I don't have a media plan. I grab the opportunities, and I know that many people know that they would have, if they get from me honest information, that I don't have any. I don't know if somebody would pay me and say, please say in media that, I would never do, and they know. And everybody knows, so nobody tries. It's a win-win situation.
You know what? There's a lot of things you just can't plan, And then if you're really quick-witted and you can grab an opportunity, then this is great, and you did it, and that's what I really, really appreciate about you and like about you. And as you said, authenticity is really, really important, and important for brand building and for getting the media attention out there. Because when you're authentic, you speak from your true self, and you're authentic, you differentiate yourself, because nobody can be you. You are unique in the market, and the way of how you are doing it. And also when you say your hair, it's part of your personal brand. It's part of you. It is you, and it makes you interesting, and it makes you distinguishable. So you really leave an impression in the market, and you have
We make a
something to say.
competition for the hair, Brigitte. I want to have longer hairs than you. I will try hard.
Another
My wife always
competition.
says I should cut. And it's very. When I was young, when I was 18, I had long hair, and then for maybe 30 years. And then there's also very funny. The sailors think if you cut the hair, that does not give luck. Also gives that gives bad luck.
Okay.
So you don't cut the hair. And you don't cut the hair. I'm not superstitious, obviously, because I'm educated. But I like these kind of things. It's always I always think, and this is something about general education. So these were the things that I and a lot of in the crisis very important also playing. I don't know if playing maybe also for brands is important, but for me was very important for for the crisis for myself. You know that I have these and laughing that I know, and now I don't cut my hair because this gives bad luck, and then I laugh that I do this because I know that this should not be. But then you say, okay, maybe it's not even if you don't cut the hair.
Yeah, playing is also important because it makes you creative. Yeah, you know, you let go of
Yes.
things and you're getting in a completely different state of mind and it inspires you. So that is definitely a good thing. Perfect. So we are almost at the end of our show. The time is,
Yes.
yeah, passed by so
Flies.
quickly. Flies, sales. Yeah, Sebastian, I would like to do a quick word wrap with you. Are you ready?
Yes, of course. Always. I'm always ready.
Important terms.
That is also important as a stellar. You always have to be prepared.
Yeah. Transportation.
My passion.
Variety.
Very important in life for the society, for the research, for the business. I think it's one of the most important things, and I'm very happy that I always experienced variety. I had for sometimes I had a Pakistani researcher and an Indian researcher. So that's I like very much. Yeah, sometimes I had a lot of women. Unfortunately, now the team is not so much variety in terms of gender, but we have some older people in our team, some younger. For me, it's very important, and I like the variety. I traveled all over the world, so if you do that, I always say variatio delectrat. It's in Latin. It means the variety enjoys or gives the joy, and I think there's a lot of truth in it.
Yeah. I couldn't imagine a life without variety in terms of traveling, in terms of working with different people from different parts of the world. It really is the spice of life. That makes it really interesting, right? Good. Next one. Resisting fear.
Very important in the crisis, but not only, of course, in crisis. I think fear. I studied philosophy, and there's a very famous German philosopher, Ernst Bloch is his name, and he says he distinguished in German between two things of fear. So he says the fear for your life. That's okay. So if somebody stands there with a machine gun, then you can have fear, but you should be clear thinking and saying not provoking, stay calm, blah 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 blah. But these fears that you lose your hair is not good, or I don't know, all these fears that some people have, one should be very careful, and resisting these fears is very important.
Quarantine.
Yeah, mine was the best in the world. I always said the best quarantine in the world. And I think one should use it. I mean, now we still here in Vienna, now COVID is not over. One of our colleagues, today I get the message that he has to go 5 days in quarantine. And I think one should use the quarantine. And I think I used it perfectly. It was for me the best experience in my life. It's very strange that you said a kind of quarantine was the best thing that you could happen, but for me it was like this.
Yeah, for me too. It was life changing. If you see the silver lining, then and if you grab the opportunity in that moment and understand where does it get me, what can I do? Yeah, how can I cope with that? And I think there is always something that you can learn from an adverse situation. Yeah. Good. Last, brands.
Brands, yeah. In former times, I thought brands would not be so important, actually, because I'm logistician. You know, the logistician thinks logistics
Yeah.
is important, and brand is something like marketing. and I would never thought that a personal brand is important. But I don't know if this changed in the last years, but I don't really think that is, maybe also the people did not recognize. But now I realized very much, the older I get, the more I realize that a personal brand is something that is very important, and it helps me also in many fields now, and it's I think also for me it's the good thing, for example, is that now in former times the people would only invite me to speak about logistics and transport, which I love, and I think I'm also quite good in. But now I get also a lot of invitations to speak about this journey, about sailing. Some people ask me to now the people ask me sometimes to transfer boats because they know that I'm quite good in it, and even if there's a big a big challenge coming, I will treat that. And also the that was also I did not say and I did not write in the book, even because I now think about if you imagine that the boat, there were so many challenges, and there was a storm in the night, the anchor did not hold, but the boat had not any damage, and I was also very proud to bring it, and the people maybe they feel also that I have the responsibility. But that's a lot of sailors have. It's very good education, sailing, responsibility for the boat, for the crew, obviously, for the team. So brands are very important, and I'm very grateful or thankful that you make me think about the brand and actually the two brands. Actually, that's a very funny. I need some consultants. Maybe shall I have two names? But yeah, this is very interesting. Could you have one name for two brands? Normally, one company has two brands, but
we should
two brands.
We should talk about that. No, I'm very happy we had this conversation. It was so much fun. But before we close, I would like to know if you have any, let's say, social media handles. How can people get in touch with you if they want to get in touch with you?
Yeah, they can Google Sebastian Kummer, Vienna, and then they will find me. We are the email addresses are open. Actually, that's very fun. Sometimes in former, in the first times of the Google and these things, some people were calling me and writing me. I tried to Google me, but I only found you. So it's very easy. Obviously, my email address is no secret. Is Sebastian.Kummer at WU at Sebastian.Kummer at wu.ac for academic.at. So that's maybe the most easiest. Then we have a website, but unfortunately it's in German, mit Kummer ohne Sorgen. Is a website for our boat. But if you are interested in the book, it's from Amazon, in Amazon shops worldwide available. That's also another story that I experienced with the book. It's incredible how good and perfect the process is from Amazon. One could tell a lot of things about Amazon, but the process
really
is
good.
incredible.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I will put.
You come to Vienna, join us here at the university. It's always open house. We have a wonderful campus, Brigitte. You know, it's a new campus, 5 years done, and a lot of good students, and always a cup of tea or coffee is available. So
I will put everything into the show notes. Okay. Good, Sebastian. Thank you so much for being BrandsTalk.
I enjoyed very much. You are great.
Yes, you are great. It was really a pleasure having you here and talk about your life, about your roles, about how you change your perception on brands now. It's not just companies, it's not just products, it's experiences, it's causes, and it's people. So thank you so much for being on my show. Please stay on. And I would like to thank all for joining BrandsTalk today. Please give it your social love and leave your comments below. Did you know you can also listen to this show as a podcast on your go? So just follow BrandsTalk on your favorite platform. If you're interested in learning more about my services, head over to my website, BrigitteBrands.com. I hope you will join me again when we dive into the world of brands, live or having me in your earbuds, walking the talk. Bye for now. Let's shine. You deserve it.